So, why are people not getting married? Why are people not having kids? I saw another video on this on YouTube today. I thought it was interesting. Thought I'd share just a quick thought on it. Um, it used to be people would have kids at 20 years old, or basically as soon as they could have them, they were having kids. Uh, that's changed. They were talking about Japan and how they're having a huge problem with population. They don't have enough young people to support all the old people. Uh, Japanese people live very long. I think they live one of the longest average uh, lifespans, I think, in the whole world. So they don't have enough young people to support all the older people who are no longer working. So I don't know. I think they're maybe trying to do something to incentivize people to have kids, but uh, they're not. They're having a problem. And they said I think only 3% of births happen in Japan out of wedlock. So you're still kind of publicly shamed, or it's looked down upon if you have a kid without being married. Now that used to be the way it was here in the United States, right? The United States, back a couple generations ago, if you had a kid, if you were a single mom or a single dad, I guess, but mostly single moms, um, that was looked down upon, right? You weren't married, you didn't have a family unit, you were kind of seen as being problematic, that you couldn't stay in the relationship. That's totally changed. It's not really shamed at all here to be, first of all, not married, but you could certainly be divorced or have, a stepdad, a stepmom, just a kind of a different situation. It's not publicly shamed like it once was. So there's less people going to church. There's less people that really care about the institution of, marriage. And also just the general economy, right? People are a little scared that they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford a family or support one on, with inflation and obviously the rising cost of everything. But a big reason they mentioned, which I thought was probably the biggest reason, is women are getting more jobs. They're going to school at like a much higher rate than men. I think it's like almost 2 to 1 now at this point. It's getting close to 2 to 1, like 60% women, 40% men, and it's growing even more women. And so they're getting more educated. They're getting a higher percentage, I would say, of the better paying jobs. And so they don't necessarily need to rely on a man or their partner. And so they're delaying making some of those decisions. And some of them just aren't getting married or having kids at all. So that, I think, is the main reason. Hey, there's less men that are in powerful, dominant positions. There's more women that are going into these positions. Men or women, as just a kind of rule of nature, are not all of them, but most of them are going to go the hypergamist way of, they are really only going to be interested in men if the men bring something to the table, financially. Of course, the way they look, how nice they are is a big part, but women are concerned about resources and finances. And I think it's going to be, you know, women are going to go after a guy that has more money than them or is making at least the same, but probably more. In the past, guys, men didn't necessarily care about if a woman had a job or what the job was. I think they just kind of understood that they were going to have to financially be the rock of the family. But now women, they don't need to rely on an income of another person. And so they're not settling down, they're not having a family as soon as they did in the past. So that, I think, is the main driver. That's the main driver. Of course, if there's the same amount of women and there's less qualified men, that's going to result in less marriages and less births, right? Because there's a shrinking pool of men that make enough money, that have enough game to attract one of these females, right? So in the past, the female was really only concerned with, is he a decent provider? And that was pretty much it. Do I get along with him? But now it's, because the women have made more money. Again, I'm not saying all, but I think a lot of women are going to be qualifying their partners based on, hey, do I like this guy? What does he do for work? Is he going to financially add value to my situation? I can't necessarily be tying my wagon to a guy that's making less money than me, right? I don't blame them for that thought process. I think that that's just kind of in their nature. But it's resulted in certainly less people getting married, and definitely less kids. There is a huge problem, like I said, and the United States is already, I think, below replacement level. Japan is way below replacement. China is way below China is trending in a bad direction. They need more young people. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they incentivize people to have kids, because some people are just saying, I'm not doing it. Maybe I can barely take care of myself, or I'm worried about getting divorced, and the laws of divorce don't necessarily favor me, and so they're just deciding to forego having kids altogether. So I thought that was interesting, and let me know what you guys think on it. I know I've talked about it before, but curious to see what people have to say. I don't have kids. I can't really plan on having kids, or I don't plan on having kids anytime soon. Maybe never. But let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.